じゃあ私ともしてくれますか？
Number 10, Yuna and the Haunted Hot Springs. It's basically a rite of passage for harem anime to offer their own spin on the classic bathhouse episode. But this one takes it a step further. Kogarashi quite literally lives at a former hot springs inn. So you can imagine all the lewd hijinks he and the other tenants get involved in.
見たでしょ？
見てねえよ。
見た絶対見た。
Oh yeah, did we mention that Yuna is also a ghost? She isn't even the only monster either. Each of Kogarashi's female roommates have their own supernatural affliction or abnormal day job.
ヤマメの塩焼きね。まるで黄金色に輝いて見えます。
It makes the whole series come across as more of a quirky paranormal sitcom, albeit one with a whole lot of lewdness.
だがな、私にだって女らしい部分もあるんだぞ。
Number 9, Date Alive. For a downtrodden high schooler, a single date can often feel like life or death. But for Shido, that's actually the case.
お前も私を殺しに来たのか。
The only way to save the world from a series of spatial quakes is to make a group of scantily clad ladies fall in love with him. As expected, Shido takes his new job very, very seriously. He ends up embroiled in a cycle of blatant fan service and bawdy misunderstandings, with seemingly no end in sight.
お兄ちゃん大好き。世界で一番愛してる。
If anything, as more girls start vying for his affection, saving the planet only becomes more and more difficult. Though, if you ask us, we don't think you'll hear Shido complaining anytime soon.
一つは指導のものなのです。ゆずるとかぐやは
Number 8, Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World. There's nothing too out there about an anime protagonist suddenly getting trapped inside a fantasy land. Or that, almost immediately, he set his sights on a well-endowed female character. The big difference here is that Kaga doesn't befriend Roxanne, he buys her from a human trader.
かわいいな、めっちゃ。
Without getting into the steamy specifics, let's just say her daily duties involve satisfying all of his manly desires. And we do mean all of them.
最初の頃はロクサーヌも緊張していたが、今では。
Apparently she does a very good job, and Kaga eventually gets the idea to start building his own personal harem. However, all it does is make Roxanne jealous, which leads to even more sensual moments under the sheets, as if there weren't enough already.
奴隷を買い足すぞ。ハーレムを作るんだ。
Number 7, is this a zombie? The real question here isn't whether Ayumu is undead, it's how in the world he keeps meeting seductive femme fatales. In fact, his bench of romantic partners checks just about every box imaginable.
やめろバカ。この変態エロロジー。
There's a chainsaw-wielding magical girl, a strong but silent necromancer, and not just one, but 2 vampire chicks. Technically, Ayumu is supposed to be helping them all fight demons, but the increasingly messy love pentagon turns most executions into impromptu couples therapy. The real kicker is that, following a mishap with the magical girl's powers, Ayumu now has to fight evil in her wardrobe. It's just impressive that the rest of the show is so bonkers, a cross-dressing zombie doesn't even register. Number 6, how not to summon a demon lord. It's no exaggeration to say that Takuma couldn't get rid of these lustful sidekicks, even if he wanted to. Ironically, it's not even his fault either. As the show's name implies, Rem and Shira made some serious errors when summoning Takuma's avatar. As a result, they end up as his servants, complete with chain necklaces and everything. Then, even though Takuma has no skill points in talking with girls, sparks quickly fly between them all. Now, whether that's because of true love or Stockholm Syndrome, we'll never really know. At the very least, Rem and Shira's collars mean all of the show's erotic moments have a built-in alarm bell.
実際魔王を相手にするより寝る時の方が緊張するしな。
Number 5. Conception. This video game adaptation abandons its source material's turn-based combat and doubles down on its dating sim elements. Then again, that's kind of the whole point of the plot anyway. In order to save the world, Itsuki needs powerful offspring and fast. So he sets out to woo each of the 12-star maidens. Yeah, there's a whole dozen of them, and they each get a chance to really bear it all.
マナーは覚えてきたんだけど。
To be fair, they don't necessarily have to consummate the relationship to make a child, but the inventive workarounds are so lewd, they may as well have just slept together. You can't say this show didn't shoot for the stars, that's for sure. Number 4. High School DxD. After a real killer first date, Issei gets resurrected by the woman of his dreams. Bad news, he's now a servant caught up in an ancient war. The good news, he reports to certified best girl Rias Gremory.
一世って呼んでいいかしら。
She introduces Issei to a world of devils, angels, and a whole lot of suggestive content. Admittedly, there's a pretty good storyline tying it all together, but rest assured, High School DxD still makes time for some of the most shameless fan service in the industry.
じゃあ私ともしてくれますか。あらら、ちょっと。
All we're saying is that some of these ladies have downright devilish proportions. Issei may have died and come back to life, but clearly he's already in heaven either way. Number 3. Peter Grill and the Philosopher's Time. On paper, being crowned the strongest man in the world should be a good thing. But it comes with a few unwanted stipulations, like, for example, the fact that every woman in the entire world now wants Peter to bear their child.
じゃーん、自分です。
The craziest part is that they aren't even all human. The promise of Peter's strength attracted the attention of ogres, orcs, elves, and everything else in between.
よろしくお願いしますね、ピーター様。
In his defense, Peter does try his best to stay chaste, but against an army of very persistent ladies, he inevitably ends up in some rather less than PG situations. Evidently, even the strongest man alive is still a victim to his own inhibitions.
もう二度とお前たちの誘惑に屈したりしない。
Number 2. World End Harem. When a mysterious virus takes out most of the male population, med student Reito becomes one of the few men still left on the face of the planet. Immediately, the future of humanity rests on his ability to reproduce as fast as possible.
どうか人類を救うためにこの世界に残された女性たちと子作りしていただきたいのです。
It sounds like the setup of a bad joke, but this is no laughing matter, especially since Reito swore himself to his childhood best friend, but remaining virtuous is tricky when literally every other girl on the planet is trying to get in your pants.
口移しで飲ませてくださいませ。
いやいやいや。
Although, if he has to cheat, doing it to save the entire human race is a pretty good excuse.
メイティング。
種付けのことです。
俺は種馬じゃない。人を家畜みたいに言うな。
Number 1. Monster Musume. It's not every day the interspecies cultural exchange drops a single lady on your doorstep. So the high schooler Kimihito takes advantage of his parents' absence by housing the mythical hybrid.
ダーリンに温めてほしいの。
And then he gets another one, and another, until he practically runs a hotel for wayward lady creatures. It's expressly forbidden for the two species to mate, but that doesn't keep Kimihito's vulgar house guests from trying. This is despite the fact that some of them don't even have the right parts for that sort of thing. Monster Musume doesn't care though. It fully commits to the erotic realities of its setup, for better or for worse.
でもあんたのこと結構気に入ったよ
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.